Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Thanks for being part of my day. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad Peter Sims is here, too, by the way, folks. Peter is a new friend. He is the co-author, along with Bill George, of the book True North, which is a best-selling book. He has been a venture capitalist, and his new book is called Little Bets, How Breakthrough Ideas Emerge from Small Discoveries. And he's here to talk to us about what these little bets are all about. Peter Sims, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jim. Great to be here.
It's good to have you here. Peter, one of my mentors said to me many years ago, "Be sure to make lots of decisions." And what he meant was make lots of little bitty decisions. And so that was something that's always stuck in my head. And what he said was, if you make lots of decisions, and you know what you're doing, you'll make more of them right than wrong. But the ones you make wrong won't take you down. What do you think?
Sounds like good advice.
Yeah, is that another way of saying little bets?
It is a good way of thinking about little bets. You know, we think we have to have these brilliant ideas, or we see great businesses like Google or Amazon that they're built on brilliant initial ideas, and that's not the case. I mean, they start very small and piece together lots of little lessons from lots of failure oftentimes to get where they get. And so I saw this working when I was an investor in venture capital with lots and lots of small business owners and entrepreneurs, and yet this is not the way we get taught in school, right, through business school. So that's why I want to write this book.
Right. So another reason why I like what you're saying, and I wanted you to talk to my audience, is because Little Bets is all about mitigating the damage that happens from making mistakes, doesn't it?
That's right. Absolutely.
And our capital, as I said to you off the air, small business owners' capital is as precious as it gets in the marketplace. And every time we make a mistake, it costs us a little capital. And the more we can learn from a mistake that costs us as little money as possible, little capital as possible, then that almost becomes an ROI strategy, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the key is, how can you fail really quickly to learn fast? So it's not really failure. It's just a way to make an action, as you say, in order to learn very quickly about where opportunities and problems lie. And that's really the key message behind Little Bets.
Can you give us a story? I know you've covered a lot of very successful stories on entrepreneurial stories, industrial stories, people who were, some of the big names that we all know. What's an example of someone that we might know who made a little bet?
Sure. Well, let me give you one fun one first, and that's Chris Rock, the comedian, who people may be familiar with. When he's on HBO, he's flawless. He's got a perfect act. But to get there, he's spent 6 months to a year in small clubs trying idea after idea after idea, almost all of which fail.
Road testing them.
And looking for opportunities in the audience, just observing carefully where he thinks a problem or opportunity might lie, and then building on what works. And he pieces together jokes this way, and then the entire routine. But the point is he's failing in a very small way. He doesn't care if he makes himself look like a fool in front of 30 people, but he doesn't want to make himself look like a fool in front of the world when he's on HBO. So it's a risk he's willing to make. Well, another would be the way Google came about. It started, actually, believe it or not, as a library search project when Larry Page and Sergey Brin were graduate students, and they were asked to try to prioritize how to search for library books online. And they figured out how to do that, and then took that same basic algorithm and plugged it into a much larger problem. But the point is that they started very small, made their mistakes in a testing ground at Stanford, and then once they found a big problem, they doubled down on it.
That's a really important point, and I had not heard that story exactly like that before. That's a better explanation than I had heard before. So, so here we got these two really smart guys, scary smart, and so a lot of people think, well, these guys, they were born to create Google, but that's not really the case, is it?
It's just not. It's a complete myth. They didn't begin with a brilliant vision at all. What they did very well is they were able to follow what was working and just keep doubling down on that. So they didn't have a revenue model for a long time either. And so once they figured out how to create this algorithm to create searches online, they said, well, we can actually pair this with a revenue model that will match ads to the searches. So it was all a discovery process. And that's a big point in the book, is that business life is a discovery process, but we don't learn these skills in school, ever. We don't learn how to fail quickly to learn fast. We don't learn how to identify problems and double down on what works.
Facebook, as is pretty much now famously known through the movie, was not created as with the idea for Facebook. It was begun. Right. It was begun for fraternity guys to meet sorority girls.
Exactly.
and maybe the girls the ones who like beer the most or something. I'm not sure exactly how that was, but I've seen this in small business, Peter. I've met lots of small business owners who have told me their story, and whatever they're doing now very successfully, what many of them have told me was they began with thinking that they should be doing something completely different.
Absolutely.
And then as they muddled through and couldn't seem to get that out of the ground, all of a sudden it occurred to them, wait a minute, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And they flip a switch. As Napoleon Hill said, they moved over 3 feet and found gold.
Exactly. I saw this with literally hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs in the U.S. and Europe when I was an investor. And yet this is not the story we often hear. And so, it's just a big problem.
We don't hear enough failure stories, I think, in the press. What do you think, in the media? Don't you think we should hear more stories about, whenever I talk to somebody who's
likes to talk about failure, right? When people talk about creating a company, they talk about the brilliant vision they had. But I can tell you, even somebody like Howard Schultz, who founded Starbucks, he went to Europe and had this great experience in the Italian coffee houses and wanted to bring it back in the U.S. But those first stores that he started had nonstop opera music playing. They had menus written in Italian and no chairs, right? So he had to make a lot of mistakes, as he says. He'll acknowledge that. But he also...
Hey, hold on to that thought, Peter. We're going to have to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with Peter Sims. Folks, you can't really be successful until you get comfortable with failure. That's my experience. That's not what I think. That's what I've learned. And some of that advice I'm still making payments on. 20 after. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blassingame, brought to you by FedEx, CareerBuilder.com, and Palo Alto Software. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights reserved. Prohibited. All rights